Hey, everybody. Hey, everybody. It's Scott from Save Our Shops, Louisiana, LA Biz, SOS Podcast, episode number 4. I'm coming at you live tonight as opposed to dropping a pre-recorded episode. It is our third episode, so give me a break if I make some mistakes. And tonight, the episode is going to be about buy versus build. Last week, we did not run our normal Wednesday night schedule. Instead, we ran a contest and we invited our followers to highlight or suggest a local business, one of their favorite local businesses, and potentially put a story in the comments that made that business a great Louisiana business to work with. We had several great comments, not a whole lot of stories, but one of the things that I did do is I reached out to those businesses and was able to talk to a few of them and wanted to highlight them before we got started tonight on the buy versus build mentality and why I chose to buy existing businesses versus starting a new one. But that might not be the best decision for everybody. So we're going to talk about both of the pros and cons, I think, in each of those categories. But again, first thing first, I wanted to talk about the 3 businesses that are going to get some additional attention, tonight for what that's worth. And hopefully, as the podcast is viewed, it can bring some additional business. So first, I want to thank Ray's Tire Barn in Bossier. We had one of our submitters mentioned a story about how they were having car problems right across the street. And although Ray's Tire Barn couldn't help them out in terms of fixing the vehicle, they helped them arrange for towing. Got them some coffee, or just treated them really good, even though he couldn't be a customer that night. He did tell me that when he needs tires, he's going to Ray's Tire Barn. And I had a chance to talk to Ryan Ray today, and he told me a little bit about his story. He grew up in Minden, moved to Bossier, and they wanted to create a shop where that good old-fashioned customer service was the number one thing. And it sure sounds like that they've done that. So thank you to Ray's Tire Barn. And I hope that your business is very successful and does well. And if you need tires and you're in the Bossier, Shreveport area, they're on Swan Lake Drive in Bossier City. Make sure you give Ray's Tire Barn a shout out. Secondly was Molders and Millwork Supply down in, Harahan, Louisiana. I did call and speak with them today. They were also very welcoming of being announced on the podcast or talked about on the podcast. And we're hoping to get some additional information from them on background and a little bit more about what their business is all about. They are a supplier of building materials. And I checked out their Facebook page earlier. They have a great checklist on there for cold weather preparation. So visit their Facebook page before the next cold snap. There's going to be one more before we're done here. And so thanks again to Molded and Millwork Supply in Harahan. And they're on Caterpillar Point if you are looking for building supplies. And then lastly, also in the Shreveport Bossier area, was the Sugar Blessed Cookie Company. I did reach out to them and had not gotten a response back, but looking at their website, and there were additional comments that were posted on the Facebook page in reference to Sugar Blessed, that those are the place to get cookie related bakeries, so bakery goods, cookie cakes, cookies. It all looks delicious on their website, as well as on their Facebook page. So visit them again, Shreveport Bossier, Sugar Blessed Cookies. So thank you to the people who submitted those stories, and I'll be in touch with you. You can go to the website at soslouisiana.com. see what kind of hat you want. Again, we have a few different varieties. The one I'm wearing right now is a crawfish hat. I don't know if you could see that, but crawfish with heart, has our logo on the side. This is called a distressed style hat. We also have some Under Armour hats and some other types of hats, and we're gonna send one out to you. So thanks again for participating in our campaign last week. All right, so let's get into episode 3, buy versus build. I did also want to say, as I normally don't do a live podcast, and this is my first time, again, it's only my third episode, so I'm learning a lot here, coming from not posting regular on social media at all. I think I probably went near 10 years in between posts at one point to doing something every week, posting 7 times a week on 3 different platforms, doing this podcast. I'm learning a lot very quickly. The first episode that I recorded, as I was going through editing, I had 214 ums and ahs in my recording, and I'm trying consciously to avoid those. But forgive me, obviously it's part of my speech pattern. I just did one. I caught it. But we're getting better at it. The second episode only had 60 that I had to edit out, so we're getting a little bit better each time. But as I was going through this, I noticed, I thought to myself, this isn't really why I started the podcast. I didn't the purpose of it wasn't to come on here and talk to you about buying a business. That wasn't the purpose of the podcast. So starting next week, I really want to focus into actually buying a business, going through the process, contacting brokers, contacting business owners, contacting potential operators, and not only learning more about them and building our network to be successful at buying businesses this year, but also to actually complete the process and accumulate a couple of businesses this year. That's the goal. So this episode does kind of lead into that as we talk about the case of buying versus building. The first thing, when I look at buying an existing business and why I think it's the right fit for me, is speed to market. So buying means skipping all of that startup phase that you inherit the existing customers, you have a cash flow that's already coming through the business, you have an infrastructure that's already built, procedures, processes that are in place with existing employees. And this is very important to me because I want to get right into something and have it generating cash flow as we're looking at an exponential growth model in terms of scaling to multiple businesses. They don't always all have to be in the same industry. And that's where the operator network really comes into play for me, as I've talked about before. I need to have experienced professional operators that are experts in their industry to be able to run day to day while I focus on things like buying more businesses and the financial infrastructure and things that need to be in place in order to make that happen. Hey, Brian, I see Brian from Molding and Millwork Supply joined us. Thanks for joining us, Brian. You may have missed the beginning. We did talk a little bit about your business and the conversation we had today. It was a pleasure to talk to you. So thanks for joining the podcast. Appreciate it. Secondly, in Louisiana, there, as I've talked about, the critical nature of retiring owners reaching the generation older than me, and looking for how to plan succession of their business and plan retirement, moving into a different phase of their life. And they may not have someone that's ready or that wants to take that business over. It's very difficult. The owners that I've worked with in the state, in my experience, and I've been part of many acquisitions here in the state of Louisiana on both sides of the fence, one where we were buying as well as where we have sold the company that I was with. And it's a very difficult process for the owner. This is their baby. This is something that they built. And one of the things that has hit me is how important it is for them that their legacy is cared for, that their employees are cared for, their customers are cared for. and that it doesn't turn into some type of chop shop, cut expenses, flip. I'm not here to flip businesses. I want to steward them. I want to grow them. And then when I'm ready, figure out how to best to transition those into the next generation of owners that are Louisiana based, keeping Louisiana strong, keeping that revenue within Louisiana. So I've seen local operators, acquire various businesses, laundromats, hardware stores, small manufacturers here in Louisiana. And I follow along with a lot of those acquisitions that are posted on the website through the Louisiana Department of excuse me, that well, for some reason it escapes me off the top of my head, but there are several groups out there, of course, that are responsible for bringing in new business from out of state, and then also working on keeping small businesses alive in the state. And I think we need more of that. There seems to be a large movement for successful businesses to sell to private equity, and that may make sense for some owners, but I think for a lot of them, they want to keep their legacy small. They want to keep that well, as Ryan Ray from Ray's Tire Barn said, that good old fashioned customer service, that Louisiana culture in place. And that's why I'm doing this. That's why I'm here. I'm interested in buying businesses and making that happen. So, and then lastly, there's risk reduction when you're buying a business versus starting a new one. You're buying a proven model, less guesswork, more traction. There's actually a theory, a model that a business that has been around for X number of years, let's say 20 years successfully, it's past that 5-year hump where most businesses fail. And it's also past that 10-year part where some businesses struggle between 5 and 10 and eventually do close down. But after 10 years, the business is pretty solid. And once it gets to 20 years and 30 years, which there's a lot of them out there that are looking to retire now, that the theory says that for every year over those 10 years that business has been in business, it's going to continue on for an additional X number of years. Now, and the financial theorem of that a business will continue forever. This is why they can borrow money on long-term loans and things of that nature. And that's a very important part to saving these businesses. And I see we have another comment here. Save our small businesses. What do you think about our businesses branching off and creating sub stores or different revenues? I think that's definitely a great play for some businesses as they look to create different revenue streams, and then potentially creating different branches of that business or different verticals. And that's actually the way that I have structured Save Our Shops, is to work in multiple verticals, acquire businesses in multiple verticals, and hopefully find a anchor in one vertical. So for example, let's say I said hardware stores earlier. Let's say hardware stores, and I'm not really interested in retail at this point. I don't have expertise in that industry, but for an example, hardware stores. I buy one hardware store in Baton Rouge, and I find another hardware store available in Lafayette and one down in Iberia. This is all within a vertical, but there's an opportunity for some cost saving things that don't interfere with the jobs and the total revenue of each individual store. But there's accounting and there's healthcare and there's various ways that the three combined can save money to become more profitable as an entity. And the same thing goes the other way. So if you're creating revenue streams, let's say you have an online store and you've also started to create revenue from a different stream, not online. So you're doing retail and online. You could potentially split those into two different businesses with two different focus, one focused on growing the retail area side and one focused growing the online or the payment side. And yeah, so an excellent example from Rico Mason. Excellent question and statement. Thank you. So anyway, those are my cases for buying an existing business. Next, the case for building a new business. If if you're an entrepreneur and you have something new to offer, or you're solving a new problem or a new approach to solving an existing problem, building lets you shape everything from branding to culture. You're starting out with zero, and you're building something that is 100% within your control all the way across the board. And that's an exciting thing for those of us that have done it, or attempted to do it. It's very exciting. It's a lot of work. You have to go out and find customers. Number one, a business without revenue isn't really a business, it's a job. And that's not why I'm here this late in my life. Is about, again, creating legacy, saving legacy, and building for the future. So starting a business, there's lots of reasons that you would do it, particularly if you have something new to offer, new service, new product. You want to control that branding, you want to control everything. And that's a great case for a reason to start a business versus buying one. And some founders want to solve a problem that no one has tackled yet, and they have the expertise to do it within themselves. So they don't necessarily have to go out and find that expertise. Like when I'm talking about buying existing businesses, I'm certainly not an expert in every industry that I could potentially search and acquire. I have to onboard that expertise. And throughout my years working in Louisiana, I do business in all 64 parishes today. So I have a pretty extensive network of people that I can fall back on, and that are in various locations around the state and span across multiple industries, which is why I say retail, I don't have the expertise, and I don't know a lot of people that are experts in retail. Maybe you do. Introduce me. I'd love to meet them. And then also restaurants. Restaurants are a very tricky business. You need to have that expertise to make them successful. You need to know a lot more about the business than I do to make them successful. And it would really take somebody who has built several successful restaurants to get me on board with that one, as everything I hear is it's an extreme challenge. So not one I want to take on right now. But so buying, building, you have that proven model, you have less guesswork, you have more traction right from the beginning. Building, it's slower, riskier, and often more expensive to start things off than buying something that has a proven revenue, a consistent revenue. I find most businesses that get to the 10-year plus mark, oftentimes as I'm researching businesses, I run into a business that it's not really growing. It's not losing business. It's just kind of staying the same. And when I talk to the owners, they're comfortable with the way things are, and they're not actively seeking to grow the business. They're happy with 5, 10, 40 employees, whatever they may have, and the revenue that's coming in and the lifestyle that it has provided them for their family. And there's nothing wrong with that. Living the what we call lifestyle business has taken care of them and their family for as long as they have needed. But that's not my goal. My goal is, when I acquire a business, is to grow that business, to find new customer bases, to find new verticals potentially, in order to grow that business and grow its employee base. I want to grow that business in Louisiana, keep that revenue in Louisiana. And it's a funny thing when a business is acquired out of state, the core business may stay in Louisiana, but the revenue that's generated does end up outside Louisiana, whether that company is headquartered in another state or it's a Delaware corporation doing business mostly in another state. The employees that they pay in that other state spend that money in that state. They're not spending it here in Louisiana. So, our statistics that we reviewed in the first episode and is on the website, you can review, 95+% of all businesses in Louisiana are small businesses, employing 54% of employable people in Louisiana. And that's a massive number for small, on the small business side. We need to keep them going. We can't let them shift away. So we've talked a little bit about the case for building, the case for alignment, a couple of real stories with Ray's Tire Barn, Super Blessed Cookie Company, and Molders and Millwork Supply Company, that, again, you all suggested to us and said that they were great businesses to do business with in Louisiana. So if you're in those areas with those businesses, Make sure you do business with them. Keep it local. And next week, we're going to get into finding businesses for sale. And I'm actually going to take you through the processes that I'm putting in place, from building a broker network, building an operator network, looking at small businesses that are on the publicly available websites such as Biz Buy, Sell, and a couple of others. Go through some examples on what I look for as I'm looking through those businesses. And then I'll even touch on how I reach out to those brokers and build those relationships. The challenge is going to be a mix of finding businesses that are posted publicly, but also finding a good mix of businesses that are not on the market, and working directly with business owners to help them plan succession and be a part of that planning. So again, that's next week on Wednesday, 6 p.m. Whether you buy or build, the goal is the same: ownership, impact, and legacy. And if you're thinking about either of those paths and joining me on my journey, if you're an expert in M&A, in finance, if your business expertise, you may know people that are planning succession, love for you to have them reach out to us, or let me know. I'll reach out to them. So subscribe, share, join us at youtube.com, at LABizSOS. Let's keep Louisiana businesses strong. So thank you for this week. We'll see you next week.